For 18 months growing up, this morning's guest home was a tent. For the last 30 years, he's been putting families in real homes. Who is he? You'll meet him coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Charlie Brindel building of the Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors in one of the classrooms of the Fortune Academy, one of its 14 locations statewide. We're focused on the Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors, and we're visiting with its Executive Vice President.
That's correct.
Charlie Brindel himself. Good morning, Charlie.
All the way. Good.
Thank you so much for having us in.
Thank you.
We had a great day yesterday with Ansel Talbert, and actually Diane Devon Stokes will be with us here tomorrow. It's going to be fun saying the Charlie Brindel building. That must be strange having a building, going to work each morning at a building with your name on it.
It is, and I thought for a little while maybe they usually name that after when you die. So I thought, well, maybe I better take my name off.
Yeah, get my name off of there.
Get my name off
of there.
Right.
But you were going strong, and the building's holding up.
Sure.
What a gorgeous location.
Beautiful building, too. It's the prettiest real estate office in the country.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. It's got to be. If not the prettiest, definitely one of them. But I'm hearing you say it is the prettiest.
Yeah, not the largest, but the best looking, right.
It is gorgeous. You know, it's so easy to find as folks are, if they're coming in off of 17 Business, they just make that first right on Shine Avenue, and it's right there on the left.
Look for the big flagpole.
The big flagpole.
Right.
Yes, that makes it easy to find. And of course, so many folks know Tofino's, and its proximity to Tofino's is a great thing.
Well, we try to stay out of there. But it's a great restaurant.
It is. It is. And of course, coming in off of the bypass, they just follow that Faro Parkway all the way to Shine. Take a left, and y'all are again on the left. Do a lot of people just come by for the first time to check it out?
They do, and a lot of people don't know why we exist here, but we also act as a location. People want to know where certain offices are on the base.
Right.
We act as a locator system for them.
That's interesting, and there are a lot of different folks out here on the base, and surely with the Market Common opening next April.
Be a lot more.
And I think you all have a huge parking lot right behind here.
We do.
The CCR owns.
Absolutely.
Which is immediately adjacent to where
we're trying to make a final plan on what we're going to develop back there. We need to develop something that's a revenue producer.
Right.
Might be a parking lot or a parking garage. We looked at a motel and a conference center at one time. Didn't know whether we really had the land or not, but we have 3.3 acres back there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You can do a lot with 3.3 acres. Charlie.
Yeah, I expect it's turned out to be pretty valuable for us also.
Yeah. The proximity there to the Market Common. What about that project?
Wow, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
It is. They're really McCaffrey interests, and of course all the other folks involved, Lucchesi and the different groups that are doing other projects, Robert O'Neill. The Myrtle Beach Air Base Redevelopment Authority is really, it's turned out to be.
They did a great job. I don't know where we're going with the new airfield, if we're going to have one or not, but I think a lot of the air traffic here is going to be key to our future economy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Real quick about yourself, Charlie. Are you originally from the area?
I'm from near Hickory, North Carolina. I was kind of born out in a little farm settlement. You know, when the doctor came to the house and delivered the babies, instead of you going to the hospital and having to deliver, right? I was born in a little town called Hildebrand. It's just across the county line in between Burke County and Catawba County in North Carolina.
Do you still have family up in that area?
I've got a few, but they're very distant, either very distant or very old. And I've been up there to see most of them lately. I kind of want to I'm trying to make a run up there every year so I can touch base with them.
That's great. That's great. I think I saw at one point later in life you'd lived in Gastonia.
Well, I lived all around that area for a long time. I don't know if you know what you know about my background, but my dad ran away from home when I was 4 years old.
Age 4?
Yeah, my mother and I never came back. My mother and I we had a little sister. I had a little sister, and we had to move anywhere we could find a place to sleep. We wound up in a tent for 19 months one time.
19 months in a tent?
Yeah.
My Lord.
By the railroad track, behind the signboard. Yeah.
Did you? Do you mind me asking? Did you ever reconnect with your father?
No, I found out later he was dead, and I visited his gravesite. It was down in Leesburg, Florida. He'd become a very wealthy man, owned a motel and 30 trucks, and had a big trucking company.
That's tragic.
Yeah.
I think I saw at one point you ended up in, is it Johnson City, Tennessee?
Yeah, I was. I went there at hunting work, any kind. They started me out counting sheets and pillowcases that we turned into the laundry, and I worked so hard they let me work upstairs as an assistant maid, and then they gave me a status of maid. And the guy that ran the kitchen saw I was working so hard, he brought me down as an intern in the kitchen. I learned all the activities in the kitchen.
Right.
From A to Z, yeah. And then, of course, when the janitor didn't come at night, I'd have to clean up. I'd get down about midnight at night.
Is that right?
Yeah, I worked in there, I guess, about 4 years, and during all that time, I never had a date, but I was anxious to get out of there. I couldn't even catch a movie because we were so busy.
Is that right, in that hotel? Was it the John
Sevier
Hotel there in Johnson City?
You know, John Sevier was part of the Tennessee secession from North Carolina, and they made him the governor, and then it's called the state of Franklin. And the governor of North Carolina sent his troops up there and brought them back into the fold, and then again they seceded, and John Sevier was the first governor of Tennessee.
Is that right? I did not know that.
Well, the reason I know it was in the back of a matchbook at the hotel.
And you'll never forget that.
Right,
That's
right, yeah.
Probably still have one of those matchbooks. You know, you think about connections like that in an early age. It was there, I believe, that you actually had the opportunity to join one of the armed services. Yeah,
I joined the Army. It was 1945, and they were looking for recruits. The war was about over in Europe, and they allowed 17-year-olds to enlist, and I was only 16.
Right.
And I went to the pool room and gave an old wino $2 to sign my dad's name. Nobody, they didn't check your birth certificate in those days. And it wasn't long till I was on a boat going to Europe, on a ship, big ship.
At age 16, when they were trying to get folks in at age 17.
I weighed 113 pounds. I think my best weight was 116. Yeah.
Oh, Charlie.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What was that like being, I mean, you were barely a teenager. You'd just been a teenager for 3 years. I guess you'd obviously grown a lot there in the hotel. And
I had, yeah. I worked hard. I understood opportunity. And I've got a personal saying that the only way to get away from opportunity in the United States is just lay down and die. It's the only way to get away from it.
There is.
It's out there, sure. And the Army just raised the military pay from $21 a month to $50. And I found out that if I went in, they'd take $37 of my $50 and send it to my mother and sister.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Your mother and sister. So that was critical.
Yeah, so they got it every month regardless of what was going on.
That's wonderful. So you were able to help support them. Were they living there in Tennessee?
They had gone back. My mom got homesick for North Carolina. They'd gone and left me there, and they built me a bedroom upstairs where they had extra mattresses and silverware and glassware, and they built me a small bathroom, and I lived in the attic.
I'm always amazed to hear about that. Some of the parents that really recognized. I've heard Jack Thompson tell the story of coming down here, with Carol Campbell,
with the governor,
with the other guy, Fred, somebody, and they end up down here. All those other guys went home.
Yeah, and they stayed.
Jack's parents let him stay.
That's a great story. We have him speak to our association about every 18 months.
Is that right?
Yeah, because we get a lot of new people, and they love to hear that story.
Jack is Cracker Jack. Yeah,
great
I've heard
guy.
It many times, and of course, one of his brothers came down to get him, and he stayed here and never went home. And I just couldn't imagine the parents enabling that to happen. But you're saying in your early teens, your mother decided she needed to go home, but you were really old enough that you were capable of handling it yourself.
Well, I think in those days, there wasn't a lot of abuse to children and stuff, and my mom was very comfortable with my taking care of myself.
Right.
And I did,
That's wonderful. Is your sister still living?
She passed away a couple of years ago.
Is that right,
Yeah.
Charlie? I'm sorry. Wow.
And, of course, Mom died. Her birthday would have been this month. She'd have been 110 if she had lived.
Is that
She was born in 1898. You know, when you're filling out a credit card application or something, they put down there your mother's birthday. I put 1898, and the lady called me back, and she said, "This won't fly."
No, is that right? It won't fit in the computer. Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
How long did you stay in the Army?
I stayed in 3 years, and I came back in 48, and I was part of the occupation force, and my first job was to round up and segregate prisoners. We was shipping them home, and of course they'd seen enough of the war. They wanted to go home.
Right.
And we'd have some to ship north, south, east, and west, and that was my job, and it put me in charge of about 50 at a time to march them down to the railroad station, put them on a train, and send them home. Of course, here I am at my 116-pound weight, you know, and
right.
and these guys were monsters.
Yeah, big guys.
Yeah, but they didn't want to fight anymore. I had my rifle and my bayonet attached to it, you know. I looked great, but it would be no contest. But I did that for about a year, and then we started recovering jeeps, tanks, and stuff like that. And then I was really so small that the older first sergeants took care of me. One of them made me his clerk, and I was a clerk for about 2 years. And then they put me in charge of a squad, and we'd do on patrols. Call them show of force patrols. So there was no regeneration of military service against us, you know. So we'd have a show of force in the community with our little tanks and the armored cars.
Right.
And I did that till 48, and I came home, met a little girl picking figs in my aunt's backyard. And I got home on August the 9th of 48, and she and I got married the first day of September. And we just hit 59 years.
3 weeks later, yeah.
59 years, yeah.
Is that right? Congratulations, Charlie. Wow.
Long time, isn't it?
59 years, yeah.
She's going to give me a medal.
She's going to give you a medal. You've given her 8, so she's going to finally give you one.
Yeah, she said she'd give me a medal.
That's amazing. Speaking of medals, you've got a tremendous medal there right below your real estate flag.
It is. It's the Distinguished Service Cross. It ranks next to the Medal of Honor for bravery in combat. And I came upon a patrol that had been ambushed, and there was about 24 guys in the back of a truck, and the enemy the BC had gone in and thrown hand grenades in on the guys. They stunned them with a rocket. Then they threw hand grenades in there, and 18 of them were dead and 6 were still alive. I pulled those 6 people out under fire. Yeah. I don't know where I got the strength from.
Wow.
And I should have been scared to death, but I wasn't until it was over.
Just that split second of getting in there and not even thinking about it.
That's correct.
That's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes it brings back kind of sad memories. Yeah.
Seeing 18 guys dead, I'm sure that would. But
well, actually, I was kind of stacking them up out like wood, and I realized what I was doing. I didn't want to make a stack out of them, so I stretched them all out along the road. Yeah.
Boy, Charlie, that's tough. That's very tough. You stayed in the, you said you were in for 3 years and then...
Went back. I got a letter from Washington asking me to go to officer candidate school. And they gave me one more stripe and sent me out to that school, and I graduated in March 50. Just in time for the Korean War, you know.
Okay,
yeah.
So then you stayed in again for quite a while.
I stayed 32 years.
Is that right? Wow. What opened the door to real estate, Charlie? How'd you get into...
Well, a lot of Army officers were retiring after 20 years, and they were getting out of the military when they were about 40, 45, somewhere in that. And I began to read stories about they're having psychiatric problems. You know, they're retiring so young and didn't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to know what I did with myself when I got out, and I took a real estate course one night, and at 5 nights, and then I got my real estate license because I took a test at the College Placement Center that said I was supposed to get in sales, real estate or insurance, and I went off the scoring chart in real estate. So I thought, well, why don't I try the chart?
Do it.
Yeah, the Dr. Harriet Rose, the lady that was administering the test, said, now, you can't always believe in these things, so you have to know yourself and your own heart. But it worked out pretty good for me.